and welcome to today's Inside Energy and Utilities podcast. Today is your 5-minute roundup, and I'll be talking about the stories that grabbed my eye this week. It's not comprehensive, but these are some of the stories that stood out. So the first one is SSE, who published their Green Recovery Plan and sent it to the Prime Minister, the Treasury and BEIS. And SSE has urged government to use robust carbon pricing to decarbonise the power sector by 2040 and bring forward the ban on sales of new petrol and diesel cars and vans to 2030. Very interesting developments there, very ambitious plans, moving the 2050 goal to 2040 and the ban of petrol and diesel cars forward to 2030. Very ambitious. It has to be put in the context that obviously SSE has completely exited domestic supply. They obviously sold their business off to OVO late last year, I believe, and their main focus now is on renewable generation, transmission and distribution, and so they're very much a renewables focused company. Nonetheless, it's very ambitious and welcome. And they've sent the Green Recovery Plan to, as mentioned, the PM, Treasury and BEIS, and it calls for 40 gigawatt of offshore wind by 2030, Ofgem to allow bigger spending to enable net zero in the next transmission price control, Ofgem to allow distribution network spending to factor in local area energy plants in the next price control, build out and optimise connections to Europe, which is an interesting proposition, a major hydrogen and carbon capture and storage infrastructure push, and deploying more EV infrastructure, bringing forward investment in heat networks, and provide interest-free low-carbon heat loans for homes and businesses. It's a very interesting report, a very interesting read. I'll share the link on where you can read that. The other story is quite a big contentious story, which is publication of the Environmental Programme Supplier Performance Report by Ofgem. Interestingly, it noted, if you look, the highest scoring for non-compliance, so not good to score high in this case, was Good Energy, who are top of the table, which is not good. Now, in response to the report, Good Energy have very strongly rebuffed the report. They make 3 main points in their argument. There's a fourth one which I think is slightly weaker, but the sort of first 3 sort of pillar is that the report is not adjusted for customer numbers. So it states that Good Energy has one of the largest feed-in tariff customer bases of all suppliers, with over 150,000. But 15 errors among 15 customers is scored the same as 15 errors in 150,000. So they're saying that it's therefore not an accurate reflection. They're also saying that the method of scoring currently incentivizes bad behavior. So it states a supplier which has high standards and looks to report mistakes in the data it holds, as Good Energy does, will receive higher marks for non-compliers than those that don't bother. So essentially, if you report any non-compliance rather than not reporting it, you obviously get penalised. This is their argument. And then their third point is there is no proportionality. All incidents are scored according to their severity. However, Ofgem has given the same scores to minor administrative errors on the one hand, and on the other hand, missed payments totaling hundreds of thousands of pounds for which the customer could end up paying. So it's very interesting to see Good Energy's, firstly to see Good Energy at the top of the table, and secondly to see Good Energy's responses to this. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I think Good Energy ends the report saying, "We will be contacting Ofgem to demand they change this misleading approach, which risks the reputation of a company that was created 20 years ago to tackle climate change and has done more to support renewables than any other." So it's going to be very interesting to see how this story develops. But yeah, very disappointing to obviously see Good Energy at the top there. Um, the other one news story that grabbed my eye is that Europe enjoys record 60 billion EV investment surge ahead of stricter car CO2 rules. And this really is something which is sort of close to my heart. The sort of bill growth of the EV market. And basically, it states that Europe has overtaken China for government and industry investment in electric cars and batteries last year. The analysis of this report suggests, and this was by Business Green. And what is interesting is that it's of the 60 billion worth of investment, 40 billion went to Germany. And a lot of that investment coming mainly from the VW or Volkswagen group, as well as the EV giant Tesla, which has plans to build a gigafactory in Berlin. So, what is interesting there for me is the focus of VW, which is a massive car manufacturer, if not the largest. It is absolutely huge, and their focus on EVs. Those in the industry know that the EV market is rapidly gaining pace, and this is sort of very encouraging to know that it's happening on European-wide level. For me, the big thing is that big investment coming from VW. So again, very interesting to see the development on the EV space in the next few years. And finally, a story that I posted on LinkedIn, which was posted a while ago, just before, 6 days ago, stating that renewable energy may be switched off as demand plummets. So this got quite a bit of engagement, where National Grids stated that due to COVID-19 lockdown measures and warm weather, the bank holiday might mean that the consumption of energy will drop significantly, and therefore there will be over generation, and so they're looking to switch off renewable energy sources. It was pointed out that that makes sense because it's a lot easier to switch off renewable generation than it is to switch off fossil fuels. It grabbed a lot of interest. The other interesting point here is that obviously, one would assume that blackouts only happen because of undergeneration, but they too happen because of overgeneration or oversupply, if you like. And so all of that needs to be balanced, and it's a finely balanced a job by National Grid. I think Roy St. Quinn is quoted, the head of the National Grid's control room, said, "The assumption will be that lower demand makes it easier for us to do a job with less power needed overall and therefore less stress on the system. In fact, as system operator, it is just as important for us to manage lower demand for electricity as it is to manage the peaks." So electricity demand fell to record lows of 15.2 gigawatts over the Easter weekend, well below National Grid's forecast lows of 17.6 gigawatt for this summer. So this shows you the impact of COVID-19 and the lockdown measures, and how the grid is balancing for overgeneration at this point in time. So these are the few stories that grabbed my interest over the last week or so. So I hope they were interesting. If there's anything that I missed, please get in touch. LinkedIn probably is the best way.